Hey there, guys, gals, fans, and pals. Your buddy JohnMegacycle here. Another episode of our, well, I keep saying episode. It's not really an episode, but it kind of is. But this is our summary video of the Steeltown Furs Megacycle Entertainment hosted Open Transport Tycoon Deluxe Tournament. I've said that at least 100 times or something by now. It never gets easier, not once at all. What is Steeltown? Well, under new GRF settings, under Furs, you can set parameters and you can change the economy style. What we've done this time is something called Steeltown. Now, we played on Furs, I want to say twice before. We played on it twice, I think. What this does is this very much gears the end product to be vehicles. Vehicles are made with tires, engines, body parts, and components. All of those have multiple raw industries and finished goods that come to it to make the product. You bring them all to a vehicle assembler. Those vehicle assemblers go to a vehicle, or those vehicles that come out of the assembler go to a distributor. And that's how that works. So this is going to be a little different. Instead of this being highest company value, this was most vehicles delivered. And I'll set up a new game. You'll see exactly what I mean. Here's the map. I'm just going to give it a pause so that way we don't get news every 5 seconds. So as you can see, the resources and the raw materials here are drastically different than a traditional game of Transport Tycoon Deluxe, a vanilla one anyway. We have a lot of really cool looking factories and stuff. Steel mills, blast furnaces, coke ovens, oxygen furnaces, component factory, all kinds of stuff. And the tech tree for this, I'll call it the industry chain, I guess I'll say, is quite a bit more extensive. So I can't really pull this any wider, but an assembly plant produces vehicles. Vehicles go to a vehicle distributor, and that's how this one is scored. Now, for scoring's sake, we're not in a company, so let's just join a company. Oh wait, can't because it's paused? I'm not sure. I'll show you when we get into someone's game. The dude actually changed up the tracker. And what we'll get is we'll get a nice little notification that we can check when it comes to how far people have gotten. It's really neat. It shows like how many vehicles have been whatever, yeah. So I'm just going to go right down the list. First one is General Ravello. Now, when it really comes down to it, I don't care if you see the passwords. Like, by the time this video is already public, the tournament's already over, everything's done, so it doesn't matter, right? So, big deal. So I'm going to first of all show you exactly what I meant by the tracking bits. If you've seen any of our tournaments, you do know that we have the storybook. This is something that's been provided, again, by the dude. And this has shown the first part here. Value, income, cargo, population, vehicles. That's what it provided before. It now also provides vehicles, tons of vehicles, and that's how it's measured and rated. But that's something that's been added. And we'll go through that at the very end. And then also this I want to show. This showed their total amount, and this is what I used for the thing. So let's take this one step at a time. Let's take a good overview of what's been done. Let's take a look at some of the supply chains, some of the things that have been transported around. Let's take a look at the logistics network. And then let's go ahead and take care of the summary, right? So what we're going to look for first and foremost is the vehicle distributor and the vehicle assembler. So let me move this up a little bit. So disable all. I want the vehicle distributor, and it's called an assembly plant. Now, why am I emphasizing these two things? Because these are the final tiers, the final stages of the thing. So I'm going to assume this is the assembly plant they're using. Right here, right? So we have what? No music? Are we in between songs? We might be in between songs. Okay. So we have our three things here, right? So this is the output for vehicles. Very clean setup for sure. Wait till you see mine. Mine is a dumpster clown haven. It's not great. But as you see here, vehicle parts, vehicle bodies, vehicle engines, and tires. Those are the 4 components that you can use to make a car. You can make, I keep saying car, it's a vehicle. You can make a vehicle with literally any of these items, but for Furs, the way Furs works is for maximum production rate, supply all required cargoes at least once every 3 months. So, we have all four supplied. It's very early. I'm trying. Please spare me. I am trying. We have all four supplied. So this assembly plant is producing the very best it can. It cannot improve any better, but just bringing in materials more frequently will ramp up a ton of vehicles. So here, we probably have the vehicles being taken to somewhere. I believe this was the place for it. Yep. Tons of vehicles. I thought there was a way. I keep thinking there's a way to do a thing. Is it shift? Oh, it's just control. Okay. So actually very, very close is the drop off. So again, just as a reminder, we're not looking for company value. We're looking for amount of vehicles transported, right? So even if the route is short, your first reaction might be, well, you're not going to make a lot of money, right? The amount of goods, the distance, the freshness of the good, right? And the type of good all affect how much you get paid. But this route's really short. You're not going to get a lot of money. That's true, but that's not the point of the tournament. So keep that in mind as we go forward with this, that really, really short routes make way more sense because you're trying to refresh and upkeep something within every 3 months. So here, I'm just going to grab a random facility, this one, right? I just grabbed a random thing. This is called a wharf. This requires materials, produces materials, but this is what I wanted to show is, again, for this, you can get better production if you deliver a certain amount of a product within a certain time frame. So if you bring, what is it? Engineering supplies? Deliver 120 units of cargo within 3 months. So as long as you're bringing in stuff, you'll get better production. So more frequent trades might make way more sense than one huge shipment, right? So when I say a huge shipment, I'm thinking a train that's got like 9 cars on it, which might be like 400 cargo, right? So dumping 400 cargo in one go for aiming for enhanced might not make any sense. But anyway, this is great because we're going to see a lot of variation between the players. We also have like 8 servers, and I want to get this in within like an hour. I got a real busy next few days, and I want to get this wrapped up. So this is going to be kind of quick. Is anything being delivered here? No, this is being pulled from a junkyard. Okay. So we've taken an overall look at the logistics, right? We looked at the 2 main things, the delivery of the vehicles to the distributor and the production of the vehicles. That's the main thing. Here, we're going to see just a quick overview of what's going on. I'm going to assume there's a couple of PAX lines that really got General Ravello set up. Yeah, a couple of things there going on. Yep. Blast furnace, yep. A lot of the city growth was really easy on this run. I had a couple of cities myself that were just enormous, or you could say that were jacked, right? Yeah, I'm so sorry. I'm going to take some really broad swipes at everything this time instead of going in super duper deep. This is they're using this as like a bypass, but they're using the same line. That's really smart. I should have done that more often. I pulled too many lines that were the same thing as separate lines. Yep, that's another junction pass. That makes sense. Low bandwidth sections like this make a lot of sense for this kind of an intersection because you're only going to have, what, at most, I don't know, 8 trains here, and take a look at how big this is, right? You got a lot of extra space that's not really being used. So these kind of junctions, so to speak, save on cost. They make sense. Yeah, instead of running a different line all the way around, which is what I did, it works out really well that way. I'm seeing a lot of professional level stuff here. I don't really have like a lot of cold cut commentary. The 3 C's of excellence, a cold cut commentary when I got it. Well, listen here, this is how this, blah, blah, blah. If I don't have to do a lot of that, it's just like, all right, there you go. Excuse me. A little more truck action. So this is delivering probably engineering supplies. I'm going to guess. Yep, engineering supplies. So why engineering supplies and why trucks? I'll talk this through a little bit. These things produce engineering supplies, I think, as you bring other stuff to it, right? You bring stuff, it makes a bunch of other products. Engineering supplies are what you can deliver to other businesses, like this, to produce their work. So engineering supplies, current production, gun-ho. The reason why trucks make a lot of sense is because you only need a certain amount every 3 months, so there's a big delay, but you need generally under 100 supplies. That's what, 8 trucks? So it might make trucks for a slower build-up like that. That might make a lot of sense. So that's why a truck system here makes sense. Otherwise, you'd need a train to bring to the thing. And then you'd probably have to mess with a timetable. So something that's a short route wouldn't choke out something that's a much larger route, right? What do I mean by that? Well, if we have a train that comes here to Zoya, the Zoya soda ash mine, and we had another train that went to this bulk terminal. Bulk terminals don't need engineering supplies, but bear with me. The thing is, it's going to get to Zoya West approximately, I don't know, 25% faster, 50% faster. So you don't want this to get a bunch of extra engineering supplies if it can't use it, right? I still need to really personally learn timetables, because that's where that comes in handy. You could say, I want this train to go every 3 months, or every 2 months or something. You could build a little more logic. At least that's how it's been with other games. I guess I haven't really dived into this. I haven't dove into this so much that it makes sense. So we got body stuff. Let's go ahead and turn all the industries back on so we can just get a bit of a look. Really structured, really straightforward stuff. They did a very good job with everything. So let's talk about their summary, right? Like I said, I've got a lot of servers I need to get through, so let's do this. Company value doesn't matter. But this at least gives you an idea of the infrastructure and all that if you want. Here's the details as well for their maintenance and upkeep. Again, doesn't super matter. That's not what we're grading on this time. Their transport storybook. Take a good look at everything. We'll just scroll all the way down. I've marked the cargo based on the other tracker. So for their final score, I used this one. 72,596. That might not be correct. Maybe I need to use this one instead, but this is the one I used for scoring purposes. I'll talk to the dude and make sure that that's correct, or they'll see the summary video, and that'll kind of be that. But that's kind of the idea of what I've been doing with all that. So, 72,596. I have that recorded. Excellent work, General Ravello. I'm gonna go ahead and abandon game. Boop. As one done. Next is, of course, the dude, the infamous, right? Or famous, the famous dude. Say, dude, where's your car? You say, dude, where's your car? Okay, let us go through the map. Let's see how they built out their logistics system. We're going to do the same thing. I'm going to disable I want the assembly plant, and I want the vehicle distribution center. That's all I want. Oh, wow. The heat map is real. Sweet lord. Okay, so this might be it. Is this it right here? That would be incredible if it was. Nope. Okay, Pamela. This is definitely the assembly plant. So we gotta find the distribution center. That's not it. The map is really tiny because all this stuff down here needs to be sorted. Oh, yep, I found it. Some monorail stuff. Interesting. I don't think I've seen players mix stuff. It's usually been like, once you're on electric all the time. Vehicles supplied. This doesn't do anything. Yeah, and I wouldn't expect to see anything here. So what do you got, my friend? A bunch of vehicles from Pamela Automotive. Yep, that makes sense. How many trains are going here? Yeah, a lot. Holy crap. I'm looking forward to seeing what they had for some of their setup. Yep, Pamela Automotive. Lots of vehicles ready to go. I'm going to assume they are bringing all of the things. So their production is maximized. You could just bring tires. Honestly, for the very first part of the game, I was just bringing tires, and that was it. And so, like, my vehicles were 100% tires by volume, and then I started engines, and I only brought sand to my engine factory, so my engines were sand-driven. Sand combustion? Sand driven. Hi, John Megacycle here, the finest of sand driven propulsion. You come on down to John's Automotives. Good stuff. Okay. I got a motor. I gotta stop being silly. I just got a motor. So, very, very nice, very compact systems, right? Train systems that can interface with a lot of different industries is quite on point. It's a really straightforward way to do that. Now, this is interesting. I don't know what the point of this is. Does it make more growth if you do that? I mean, they also block them in, except for this one house. And this one house. I mean, you can't build through houses. You need to build near roads and stuff. I wonder what that's about. I don't think that helps the population check. So at the end of every month, the town checks, and like industries check, like everything checks to see, should I grow this month? Yes or no, right? Or it's not a yes or no like that. It's like, what am I doing this month? And a die is rolled, or whatever. And it goes through and it's like, okay, what are all the factors that weigh this positively or negatively? And it's like, okay, have you traded at least one passenger across 5 stations in the last month? Then the weighting of the yes is heavier, right? So you're going to see much less complex systems. Let's find, is there maybe a less complex one I can demonstrate? That's funny. That's all that is. That's just funny. Here's a really neat little setup. So this is one bus. Ding, 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 ding. It's just going all the way around. And what this does is this weighs heavier on the town being, or the city, rather, being, yes, I want to grow this month. We need to build more houses. We need to fill the gap, right? If you have a lot of PAX transit lines or whatever, like here and here. Oh, nope, that's actually just for scrap metal. Interesting. Here and here, when you're bringing in regular aircraft and trains, you don't need those buses anymore, right? But it still does help to start off a little town, give it a little bit of a boost. So that's that. I try to talk through all the mechanics that I know whenever I do these summaries, so that way if somebody pops in, they're like, how does this work? How do we do this? I talk about how we set up these tournaments and how we orchestrate them. And then I also try to talk about like mechanics and stuff like that. So this is a real simple, yeah, straight up and go. This, boom, right there. Clean lines, right? A lot of the map. One of the things that was being talked about in the Megacycle Entertainment Discord was also like that heat map. Like I was saying before, is like some people really built in a dedicated area. Some people spread out real far. So it's always cool to see how people do their own thing, right? Go ahead and grab their details. Again, none of this is important, but in case anyone wants to see some stats, lots of trains, lots of vehicles, some ships, some actual ships that are not... What is... Oh, okay. Oh my god. Alright. Thanks, John. I would not... how did I miss that? Oh, it just doesn't appear on the map. Okay, yep, there we go. I should change map modes. That would have been smart. Okay. Very good. I should check General Ravello to see if there's anything there. I doubt it, but we'll check it out. I'll bounce back real quick. Here is their storybook. First observation is the dude didn't really start transporting vehicles until the year 1994. So that makes that really interesting. That other players might have started earlier, right? Other players did start earlier. But this, yeah, we don't... So that's a really big departure as well. We'll go back to Ravello. 214680. Excellent. We'll go back to Ravello real quick. And we'll make that similar observation. Because I wasn't paying attention. Because it was literally 1 point on the data graph. So I wasn't sure if it was an anomaly yet. Now I know. Anomaly isn't really the right word, but you get the idea. Okay, first of all, any thank you John markers. Now I'm looking for them now. No? Okay, now it's a scavenger hunt for me. Signs? Is there a... I can't remember if there's a signs marker. Probably not. Okay, not worried about that. But let's take a look at their storybook. So they started much earlier, 85, almost 9 years earlier. But you can tell from the slower ramp up, right? They didn't have all the supporting industries ready. They most likely weren't attached like, you know, like I did. Like they started on tires or they started on whatever. And they were like, okay, here's the whole chain for tires, but we're only bringing rubber. And then we'll bring the carbon steel or whatever. And then we'll bring the carbon black. And then we'll bring the whatever, all the things you need to do the things. So that makes sense. That makes sense how that's handled and worked. So there's that. This is one where this was a bit more complex. We had a few players not finish, so I'm just gonna pass by them. This is Cyber Psycho. I'm curious to see how they did. Solid. I like that. I like this setup. Visually I like this better than other setups, but I'm sure, you know, everyone playing a little differently. The spread out is a lot more control and more area, obviously, but this, I don't know. Someone might look at this and be like, it's too congested. It's like, yeah, but it's really easy to like understand and debug and stuff. I don't know. Okay, we'll start the same way we start with everyone else. Let's go ahead and get only the assembly plant and only the vehicle distributor. That gives us a really high level view of where their heat maps were. Okay, this is very simple. So here's this. Resources are being brought here. Cars are being pulled out and dumped off here, right? Real simple. Walled off with owned property. Interesting. Oh! You can name it a question mark? Interesting. Oh, you're welcome. Duh. Yeah, on the mini-map it looks like nothing, right? It looks like weirdness is what it looks like. Still, okay, you are welcome. Awesome. Awesome, awesome. Okay, any other things we really need to look? Again, kind of the same thing, like a very high density system. Right? Didn't spread out, didn't really need to, it seems. Was able to get all the stuff they needed. So this is probably a blast furnace. Oh, it's a coke oven. There's a lot of these that makes this... What's really interesting about FURS, specifically, as opposed to like regular vanilla Transport Tycoon Deluxe, is buildings have multiple inputs and multiple outputs. What is the most complex structure? I think the basic oxygen furnace might be pretty advanced. So I just want to give this as an example again for those who might be seeing this for the first time. So this is a basic oxygen furnace. This has 4 inputs: pig iron, manganese, quicklime, and oxygen. If you want to maximize production, you need all 4 things. Even a little bit. You know, you could bring one every 3 months. Literally one unit, 1 ton, 1 gallon, 1 whatever. But you also have 3 outputs. So that can really be taxing, because in TTD, regular Transport Tycoon Deluxe, the most sophisticated structure for raw materials is the farm, because the farm produces livestock and grain. The most sophisticated, or, you know, most quote-unquote complex finishing factory, I guess, would be the steel mill, because it's iron ore. Is it iron ore and coal, or is it just iron ore? And then that produces steel. I don't remember. It's been a while since I played vanilla now. So this is a really great departure. And if you want a level of complexity, playing something like this can be a real smart way to better understand how logistics works, right? Do you build one ginormous train station with all the trains coming in and out? Do you build 2 separate, one for inputs, one for outputs? Do you build 7 separate stations? You know, I mean, there's a lot of really great potential to be had. And what you see some of the players doing is, let's see, for this. So what's this? Vehicle parts. It requires 4 things. It produces 1 thing. So this is what? This is taking the outputted... No, it's taking parts in. This is taking parts out. And this is most likely bringing in the other thing. Alloy steel, right? So this is how this can be easily broken down. Separate station for every product, right? That way, if it overflows somewhere, you have too many... what's a good example? Like you have too many parts, right? And parts are just stacking up, or no parts. You're not making components. Oh my god, you're not making enough components. You have a bunch of trains waiting. That's not interfering with drop-offs, right? That's the kicker. That's the kicker that took me a while to learn when I first started playing this game. Is I had a farm, for example, at one station. Now farms produce livestock and cattle, or livestock and grain, like I said, and I only had one station. But I had like 3 trains of each, and I only had 3 stops. So what would happen is, eventually, my grain was producing so slowly, every single slot would be occupied by grain. And that would mean the livestock can't get out. So this is a great way to break this up. 1 per unit is just a great way to do it. Now, yep, very good. Now, you could also do inputs and drop-offs, right? So this Jeffrey transfer, just to finish the conversation, this is dropping off electrical parts, right? It's dropping off electrical parts. You could have alloy steel also drop off here, and stainless steel, and plastics, because you're only spending like a couple seconds in the thing anyway. Electrical parts. Are these all parts? It's all parts. Okay. Good stuff. Let's go ahead and get everything back on. What else do I want to talk about? Excuse me. It has been a rough morning. Bear with me. Let's talk about their method to grow a city. Maybe that didn't actually happen because, again, it wasn't really necessary in this one. We're going off of not company value. So what'll happen generally in a company value-based game is folks will build up a town or a city with their initial passenger line. And then they'll just go absolutely ham about it. Just grow it as much as they can, and that further enriches the... Oh my god, so much coal. That's crazy. They'll enrich a town or a city with more population. And then that'll just make the passenger lines they've got going on much more valued. Yep, absolutely. So here's another really great example. This is a coke oven. It takes coal. It makes coke, coal tar, and sulfur. My favorite 1980s cartoon supervillain, Coal Tar. This is also dropping off coal. Oop, where we go? There we go. Boop. Yep. 744. That's crazy. Engineering supplies. Yep. Gung-ho production. That makes sense. I was like, how the heck is everyone producing more than me? Yep. that's how. So we've got coal coming in, coke, coal tar, and sulfur going out, right? So again, another fairly complex setup that also makes benefit for these factories and such are usually spread out as multiple structures. I say either 1 or 2 structures. Oh, here we go. Here's another one. So this is all the same thing. This isn't 2 wire and section mills. This is all one dilly-dilly. But that's it. Yep. It allows everything to be much more spread out. And then this acts as an extension for Sean North scene. I'll call it Sean. I think it's generally pronounced Sean. I don't know. So that connects this so that way you can have a station a little bit farther. No biggie on that. Let's go through their stuff. Oh no, let's go through their character. Nope. There we go. Oh, I didn't mean to hit that, but that's fine. There you go. There is the loadout. I have no feedback. That's not what we're aiming at. We're aiming at this guy. Okay. So Cyberpsycho also started quite a bit earlier, 87. Yep, so you can see right here, tons of vehicles, that's what we're looking at. Solid stuff all around. Yeah, 70... I think I've got a different number tracked. I don't know if that's going to affect the winnings. But I am going off of this for the goals, 63950. That's the number I was going off of. I kind of felt like that number was more accurate as I was playing, but because maybe that updates every month and this updates every year. That being said, I don't know if this updates the final year, so I don't want to short them 7,000. I'll have it correct in the Discord, and like when I post the winners. So I've already posted the winners, but like I'll go through and I'll double check and make sure that's correct. But anyway, there's all that. So yeah, 63950. Excellent work, Cyber Psycho. And the next one we're going to look at is Squishy Chew. Let's see how they did. Squishy's Simple Steel Jockeys. All right. Interesting name. One of the things that we realized with this run was I'm going to own this one. This one's on me. I actually didn't know how this whole tracking thing worked. So when I set up the tournament and I made the announcement, I was like, yeah, just go ahead and have fun. Just, you know, set it up and sell cars and whatever. And I didn't make it clear. So I'm owning this one. I apologize to Squishy Chew on this one. They actually did a full playthrough and everything, but I didn't they did mention this. I didn't really realize. Let's actually walk through this first. That they have 0 cars, and even in their storybook. So we'll check it out. Here's all the digits. We'll just scroll all the way to the bottom. Nothing was recorded because they sold all of their vehicles through the general store. You can sell cars a couple of ways. One is the vehicle distributor, and one is, I think, the general store or something like that. Let's actually see if it's documented here. Assembly plant, vehicles, vehicle distributor, and houses. So they can go just to houses. So there have been sales, but unfortunately we're in this kind of a predicament. So I want to still go through. They still went through. They still played their 20 years. So they're not going to be ranked because I don't know how to rank them. But still, I like the layouts and stuff. Let's talk it out, right? Let's talk it out. So where is the vehicle assembly plant? There we go. We'll still do the same thing. We'll go ahead and check it out from the beginning. Is this 2 plants? No, it's 1 plant. Yep, it fooled me up again. So, parts, bodies, engines, tires, as before. Well, it looks like they had a really neat components thing here. Oh, wow. Engines and components right here? That's pretty awesome. That's a really strong thing to have it that close. And the trucks ensure that you've got a steady supply of vehicles coming in. That's really cool. I like that. So let's see here. What else do we have? This produces the vehicles, and this is going to take it somewhere. Let's do this the easy way. I'm just going to grab a train. I'm going to go to their list. I'm going to hit Control. That's going to take us to somewhere. This actually is... Oh, a tire plant. Tires. Okay, so one of you guys has what I'm looking for. Yep. Yep, you are being sold here. Okay, so early money maker. I forgot if there's a way to look through the signs. But let's go ahead and pop up the map. Yeah, very solid distance. So the assembly plant is down here. They're taking it all the way up here to Nicole and selling it out. And then I'm almost assuming these are passenger trains. Yeah, no worries on that. So there's a PAX route. Easy stuff. Easy stuff. Yeah, there's I think a lot of these little smaller routes. This is really creative with the trucks. I like it. The one-way pathing is really important because it really, I don't know, funnels it the right way, I guess. So once they get in here, it doesn't matter which one they go to. They'll check and they'll obviously do closest, I think. And then they'll just get whatever. So it gives you a lot of capacity for a lot of trucks, and there's a lot of trucks in this system. So having a larger station like that's really freaking cool. Oh, wow. Yeah, 4x4 all the way. Yeah, that works. There could be some congestion. That's what I'm looking for. I'm good English, man. I English real good. There could be a lot of congestion over here, but that won't block stuff that's going on here. So you can have a bit of a, you know, a nice system here. So is this collecting Oh, this isn't collecting iron ore. This looks like this is just collecting potash. Yep. Just the potash. And this is all one station. These all look the same. That looks like coal to me. Nope, all potash. Okay, cool. Or I should say coal. So the potash comes here, right? Food and potash is being supplied. They're pulling out rubber, plastics, and aluminum. Aluminum is going to be for the engine. Plastics are going to be for the... or if I don't remember. And then rubber is going to be for tires. Right? Real simple setup. I like it. Oilery there. Okay. What else do I want to look at here? Again, I really like the marriage of trucks and trains. Trains make everything really straightforward, but using a bit of trucks here, especially for the short routes, I want to talk about why trucks are actually pretty powerful, especially in furs. And I might have mentioned this in other summary videos or other places we checked, but what places generally benefit from is a certain amount of cargoes over time. And like for something like this, for this oxygen furnace to produce as much as it possibly can, receiving all of the raw materials at least once every 3 months gives it the most amount of productivity, right? It doesn't matter if you're bringing in 1 or 1 million, right? So that's where this is really important. So this is a great example where the trucks will give however much they can carry, let's say 16. So here's 16, here's one truck. And then 8 days later, here's another 16. And then 8 days later, here's another 16, or whatever. That constant rate ensures that the timer for the 3 months is being reset constantly. So trucks are actually really powerful here. Now, in OpenTTD and vanilla, you don't have, that's not even a mechanic that exists. It's not even a constraint. But for here, it makes a lot of sense to do that. When you're pulling products around, the big trains are a lot of fun for sure, but the trucks actually really help. That's a lot of coke. What do you got going on here? Gallons of coal tar. Okay, yep. Yeah, that's crazy. Got a lot of good stuff here. So, coal tar on one side. Oh, looks like you've got... oh, a little bit of mixing of the line. That's interesting. I am always so nervous about mixing lines like that. For real. It's too nervous. I'm too nervous for it. It looks like this might be drop-off. Carbon steel. No, this actually produces carbon steel. Oh. Carbon steel from... oh, a whole nother factory. Yeah, how you doing? Carbon steel. Okay. There's a lot going on here. What's the coverage? It does cover both. So, okay. That's cool. Yeah, we'll check a few more stations that are a bit more on the complex side. Do a little bit of a chit-chat summary, and that's kind of going to be it. Really clean. Yep. So this is going to, what, 2 or 3 different paths using the same station. But because the stations don't crisscross, again, you do not cross the streams, right? This is totally independent of each of the 3 routes. So that's, yeah, boom, real simple, right? Could truck it, they trained it, works out pretty well. Yeah. Body plant. Yeah, let's go back to their automotive bits. Boop, boop-a-doo. There's not even really a way to see how much historically has been made. So I have asked the dude and a few other players in the Discord server. We just don't have visibility on it. So like I said, that's my bad. But they still did great. Let's go through their specs and go through all their stuff anyway. So this is their company value and their infrastructure costs. Takes care of all that, yeah. And anything else to discuss? We went through the playbook. Let's pop that open one more time. This is a really, really neat thing to see how a player has developed and grown over their tenure at their transportation company. Yeah. I don't think I have anything else to say here. That's going to wrap it up for Squishy Chew. And now let's check out some other players. Solid stuff. Let's see, who is next? Nope. We're gonna look at did not finish. Guild Games was unable to finish. They had a bunch of stuff going on. We'll at least give them a look. They did put in a couple of years. I'd like to give them at least a look. also a skilled player, for sure. I kind of feel bad not talking about it at all. Like, for players that didn't, like, they said they wanted a slot and they didn't participate, cool. Life gets busy, I get it, it does not bother me at all. But, like, for something like this, I'd like to at least give, like, a real quick look, because they did put in the time. So here's the assembly plant. It goes all the way. So another long distance route to make some real cash. Kenneth Vehicle Distributor. I'm very confident all the people in the town have all the stuff. So this loadout a little bit differently, right? A little more wide, right? This looks like very much like a subway map or a train map for a country, I guess. It looks nice. I like it. Also open, you know, not as dense as some of the other builds, and that's totes fine. Yeah, like I said, we'll just take a look at some of these loadouts, and then we'll just say, all right, mark as did not finish. So DNF. Update that. Let's see. What else do I want to talk about this? Yeah, very straightforward. Let's see. Like I said, let's check maybe some of the more complex loadouts. This furnace is receiving all 4 things. It's actually transporting out 2 things. So the interesting thing here is there's only 2 stations. Oh, there is this. Yep. What is this dropping? Oh, let's bring in ferrochrome. Okay, that's smart. This is taking out stainless steel, taking out carbon steel. So this is the drop-off, right? So as I said before, like, you could have one station with multiple drop-offs because the trains are always going to dump off product. And there's not going to be ever a time they're hanging out for more than a couple of seconds. So this is a really great example of how stuff coming in and dropping off will have its own deal. But anything that has to wait for cargo will have its own station, or however that works. I've seen a lot of ways to do it. Either its own station or a huge station and checkpoints, which can get a little messy. But that does separate some pathing. Like, I've seen a lot of different ideas on that. So it's cool to see how folks do. There's another fairly complex station I want to look at. This one right here. This is that coke oven, same as before. So sulfur, coke, coal tar, and this is bringing in the coal, right? Let's take this time a little bit to really appreciate the complexity of the industry chain, right? I talked a little bit about it. For the assembly plant, you need vehicle parts, vehicle bodies, vehicle engines, and tires. Oh, I said components. It's parts. Let's just talk about the tire plant. The tires are made out of rubber, carbon black, sulfur, steel rod. I'm just going to go to the bulk terminal for the rubber. And this, you could feed it with so much stuff. I mean, there's a lot of industries. How many industries are there in vanilla? Like 14 or something? There's more than 14 here, baby. It's a mess. A number. I'm not going to read all that. There's just a lot. So anyway, well done. I'm going to at least display Guild Games' stuff. The daily vehicle. There we go. Yeah, 1 second. Had to sneeze there, my bad. Okay. And, oh, I want this. Again, did not complete, but at least shows off. Okay, so early as well, 85. 500 vehicles, that's a strong start. Yeah, that's a good, strong start. I like that. And then this, 23, 4, 16. I had that written down, and that's what I announced on Discord. So still, like, I think they would have been a real contender against Cyber Psycho and General Ravello. I think that would have, given that pace, would have been pretty good. Okay. Next up is Bogus, I believe. Airsats Motorworks. Why does that name sound familiar? I'm going to look that up a second. Airsats. It's either a local automotive thing. Oh, it's an adjective. I thought it was a noun. Uh, being a usually inferior imitation or a substitute, artificial, not genuine, fake, made in imitation, artificial, inferior quality. Aw, buddy. Womp womp. You didn't have to do that. Alright. Let's crack on the map. Spread out. Nice. Yeah. Wait to see my build. No one's done my build, and I can see why they didn't do the way I did a thing. I did something terribly, and I think I'm next. We'll see. We'll see. Let's disable all assembly plant, vehicle distributor. Okay. Oh, here it is. Okay. All right. I mean, it works, right? It works. Okay. That's incredible. I don't have better words. That's just kind of incredible. Yeah. Comedy is defined as building an expectation and then providing a difference of that expectation to throw the listener off, right? That's kind of the idea of comedy. So that's a funny right there. Okay, so this is taking the vehicle parts. Yeah, this is all just hooked in and bringing in the parts and the components and the whatever, all that. Yep, good stuff. The cool thing is this thing also does make engineering and farm supplies. So as you bring in the vehicles, you could bring a little bit of the materials back. So actually, let's take that to heart. Nope, you can't bring it back to these factories, but the raw material stuff you can bring farming and engineering goods. So, let's pop up in the map. Give a bit of a scan real quick. Okay. Couple of truck things. Yep. Oh wow. What is this all about? Okay, it's just a large station. Let's talk about the waypoints, right? With the waypoints, the way these work is they offer a quick turnaround. So I'll open up the thing. So go to the waypoint 2, go to east, go to Svetlana waypoint, the waypoint, not the station. So what happens is the train gets here, does a quick 180, and pulls out. Actually, let's see. Let me show you real quick. So you'll see this train coming in. It'll get here, really quickly reverse, and then lock. Oh, the game script keeps the game paused. Boo. Alright, well, believe it when I say a thing, right? That's the idea behind that. I think from a technical perspective, what happens is as the train arrives, it slows down, but it doesn't slow down for the checkpoint. It gets the checkpoint, immediately stops, reverses, and then you're saving a couple of seconds, right? The idea is that you're saving hours, right, over time. So it's like, in the morning, I'll just make up a thing. I brush my teeth while I'm in the shower. I need to be in the shower to get clean. But if I'm also already in the shower and I brush my teeth, I'm saving the time it would be for me to be brushing my teeth, not in the shower. Okay. What did you save? Maybe 15 seconds? 20 seconds? Because you still have to brush the teeth. You still got stuff to do or whatever. The thing is, 20 seconds is not impressive. What is impressive, though, is maybe over time, that gives you a little extra time in the morning to do what else you need to get ready for work or whatever, right? So that's kind of the idea. So this saves a couple of seconds. I really wish I could demonstrate it. That saves a couple of seconds. But over time, it adds up, right? Now, if we were playing a game that only lasted like 5 years, maybe not. But we're playing a game that lasts 20 years. Now that is interesting. How does this work? I like this layout. Huh. Always visually interesting in the setups. I like it. I don't know. I'm assuming this connected to something at one time, and then you buy the 2 trains, and then you just delete it or something. I'm guessing that's how that worked. Yeah, not really sure. Everyone always has really nice, visually appealing tunnels and stuff. I just can't get it done. Again, it's always really nice to see how other people do things. Okay, what else do I want to discuss about this? Yeah, train junctions. Beautiful. Yeah, everyone's got this nice little system figured out. Let's take a look at all the industries. Any other really complex layers I want to check in on? Martha Waypoint, Martha Heights. This extends Martha, you know, this thing. So that can touch that. What is going on here? There must have been something else here? I'm not really too sure what that's all about. So train comes in, hits the waypoint. The signals block it from going any further. Maybe? And it reverses? It can't go out that way. Huh. Train come in. Train can't go out. I'm not really too sure how this works. Oh, I guess it can just reverse? Not really, because okay, I know how we'll figure this out. Yeah, okay, waiting for free path. Oh, there's probably some... Yeah, full load any cargo. Wait, okay, so Martha Waypoint. Martha Woods. This Deza Waypoint. Okay, so maybe the signals are just jacked? I'm not sure. I'll have to ask about that as well in the Discord. This is a fairly busy section. Oh my god. Yeah, rubber right away. This is probably dropping off stuff. Hot ash, yep. Ferrochrome manganese. Okay, so this is a similar design. I guess it doesn't stop them from coming in at all. Because, so signals are always on the right side, right? So it's not on the right, so the train, it doesn't give a rip. It'll give a rip here. So yeah, here's how you could use different waypoints to break up a station. So this is kind of what I was saying before, is you could have one big station, multiple waypoints. You could have multiple stations. You could have spread out stations. You could have all kinds of things. There's quite a bit of flexibility with the Transport Tycoon Deluxe system, or specifically the OpenTTD system. It's very cool. Any other intersections really want to emphasize on? I don't think so. We checked that one. Trucks bringing over stuff. Yep, okay, real simple. Steel sheets. Yep, bringing it over there. Yeah, everyone had a much more tight and sophisticated logistics network. Yeah, I'm still really excited to show off mine, even though it's terrible. But we'll see. I really wonder what this is about. Because a train can't... Maybe just a gap for later. Maybe this is like for expansion's sake. I could see that being a thing, but it's also repeated. I don't know. I'll have to find out. So, that's why we do these summary videos, right? It's because I'll dive in and I'll be like, okay, I play my way, someone else plays their way. This will be interesting for us to have a conversation later as to why they did a thing. Let's go ahead and check out their stuff. Do the HQ. Very nice. With a truck. Little truck right there. That's a nice aesthetic touch. Infrastructure and all. Good stuff. Now for the real meat. Let's see how they did motors-wise, or vehicles-wise. Okay, 87. I guess if I had to average out when everyone was starting, we have some in 84, we have some in 94, whatever. So, like, we're averaging around the late 80s. Mid to late 80s so far seem to be about the thing. Whole mess of vehicles. And here is their total 26,220 was the number I took for the end there. Well done, Bogus. Anything else? I think we're good. Boop. Boop. Badoo. Alright, now. Mine. Okay, so disclaimer, I tried something very, very different this time. I think I've tried this system once before. And I thought it was smart, but it probably wasn't smart. So, assembly plant, vehicle plant. Here's what I did. So there's my assembly plant. And then the vehicle plant, real simple, right? I just chose whatever was closest. So here was my plan with this. First of all, I started with the PAX line on the outside. So I started with this. Worked very well. I took passengers from Aaron, brought them over here to Arthur and Avdotia. Not really sure, sorry. Lots of money. That got me going real good. And then I went back to Aaron, and then I did another run, because this was just booming like crazy. I did another run over here to the southeast, to Natasha, not sure. But that was another great run. So I got those two started, then I started up my regular logistics network. Now, here was my thought on it, was I wanted to set up a network that was plug and play. So what I did is I did 2 circles in opposite directions. So I started here. I did this. Where's Olga? Because I used Olga as the center of the world. There we go. So Olga is the sun, and I was talking on my recording. I'm like, think of this like a solar system, right? So this is the orbit around the sun. And so I built this outside line one way. So this, I think, is clockwise, and this is counterclockwise. And the reason why I wanted it to be different orientations was I wanted to minimize backtracking. So the idea was, so I built the circle, and then I thought it was going to be really easy. I'll just go to every industry, and it's just plug and play, right? Boom, boom. Don't even think about it. Boom, boom. Well, this one was more advanced. But every industry I just plugged into that I could. So I plugged in all the industries first. Didn't know if I needed them, didn't think about it. So boom, 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 boom. So then I said, all right, I got a bunch of stuff plugged in now, right? So you can see I've got a lot of stuff hooked in. A good chunk of this I'm not even using. I don't think I'm using any of these. I don't think I'm using this purple thing. I don't think I'm using a lot of stuff. I just plugged in a bunch. And then I was like, okay, I already have a bunch of stuff plugged in. Let's go to the chains. Let's start with the tire. Okay, bulk terminal. I already have a bulk terminal plugged in. So over here was where I plugged in the bulk terminal. And then I just did separate stations for everything. And then I was like, okay, you're making rubber. I'm going to take rubber out of you. And right here is tires. Cool, rubber to tires. Now this is a really short distance. I should have made this its own station, its own path. But to use my network, so to speak, I'll kind of, with the mouse, the train comes down, drops off the tires, comes down here, goes back like this, and there we go, right? That was the simplest I could think of to handle this very complex infrastructure requirement without it being too overburdensome on the player. So my real goal was less human effort, right? So whenever you play a game like this, you can kind of go a couple ways. You can go more human effort for more complexity, for more maybe not simplistic, but like more volumetric stuff later, right? More efficient stuff. Or I went on what is the easiest system I can design and build? And then I built this. But the cool thing about it is because I've already have such a wide berth everything's already plugged in. So if it's like, oh, this orange stuff goes to green. Let's just say, for example, oh, boom, boom, done. Right? That's kind of how I saw it. So, yeah, when I said my tires were 90% rubber by volume, I was not kidding. We had rubber-only tires for a very long time. And then I started plugging other stuff. So here is like carbon wire or something, steel wire rod, you know, assuming I have drop-offs and everything. So I don't really have like a key setup I wanted to share. But that's really the brunt of, that's how I want to design this system. So did it work? I think it did. I think with a bit more planning, it would have been much better. I think I needed smaller trains. I needed more lines. But yeah, here, I'll show you the junction. So this goes clockwise. The inner circle goes clockwise. And when a train needs to go somewhere else, it kicks off. And it goes to the outer ring, which is counterclockwise. So what that really is annoying for really short routes. Let's see. Here's a good example. This coal needs to get here, right? Well, because of how the train system is set up, the coal leaves like this, and then it comes down, and then it goes like this. So it's not super terrible, but it's not what I would call efficient. So then it has to go all the way around this way, and then it drops off, and then it picks up, right? So we're traveling a lot farther of a distance for maybe shorter routes. Again, emphasis being lack of complexity. And then here's my engines. We actually have some decent engines coming in at the tail end. My engines were sand. About 95% was sand. I only added not carbon. Is it cast iron? I only added cast iron recently. Oh, no, that's not the right thing. I only added cast iron recently. I'm going to say it's Tyler East. That's taking... Oh, aluminum. Oh, it's aluminum. Okay. Oh, it is also cast iron. This. Yeah, this was a... I didn't like this setup the second I did it, but I needed something, and it was like... I didn't really fully understand that each factory could have 3 inputs and 4 outputs and engineering supplies kind of a thing. So I was like, oh man, I'm just adding as I'm going. So that was my design submission. I wanted to do something different. I think I've done it this way once before, and I think it was also very meh performant. But I liked it. I liked the modular kind of vibe I had for it. So there's that. Let's go ahead and check out our stuff. Here's my infrastructure and company value and all that. Again, doesn't super duper matter. And then let's talk about the storybook. I got started a little later in the game. Yeah, early 90s is when I really started to get stuff going on. Because I went backwards. So I went vehicle distributor, vehicle assembly, tires, and then I just started piecing one thing after another, right? But then the ramp up really started to kick off once I got engines going on. So yeah, it worked out pretty well. I think this would have been a completely different game, at least for me, if I had another 10 years. You know, and not give anyone else 10 years. No, I'm kidding. Still. There's that. My total was 2205, significantly less than everyone else. But again, I'm really happy I tried something new. One of the penalties, one of the things that kind of didn't work, again, was planning. So this was like, this became like, oh man, way too much going on for no reason. This was coke. This coke is being delivered to this blast furnace. But again, when it came down to it, I didn't want it to be incorporated with the main system. This was just more efficient. So this was the right way to do this and not what I did. But still, I'm happy with it, right? I'm happy with it. Let's call that there. Okay. So, to summarize the finals for the Steeltown Furs Tournament, I guess is what I'm going to call it. We're going to go for those who completed. So the dude is the winner. Congratulations, the dude. At almost $250,000, 214,680. General Ravello, 72,596. Cyberpsycho, 63,950. Bo Gus, 26,220. And JMegs at 2,205. Those are the players that completed. So thank you all. Appreciate you checking this out and everything. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. Oh, before I sign off fully, make sure to join us at the Megacycle Entertainment Discord server if you want to join the next tournament. All the information to connect is in the description of this YouTube video. And yeah, aside from that, have a good rest of your day and hope to see you for the next tournament. Hey there, guys, gals, fans, and pals. Thanks for checking out my video. I also want to take a moment to thank all my supporters and donators, and if you'd like to join up with me and game with my crew, all the information to get connected is in the description below. Thanks again, and I hope to catch you next time.